It was an emotional day on the Fort Belknap Reservation. The remains of 3 indigenous children made their way back home from an East Coast boarding school burial ground. The children were removed from their families back in 1890 to attend the Carlisle Indian Industrial School in Pennsylvania. MTN's Anissa Coomer was on hand for today's return.
It's a bittersweet day for the Fort Belknap community as the remains of 16-year-old Almeda Heavyhair, 17-year-old Bishop L. Shield, and 15-year-old John Bull finally return home after being at the Carlisle Boarding School Cemetery in Pennsylvania for over 130 years. There are mixed emotions throughout the Fort Belknap community, with the return of the remains bringing a sense of closure, but also serving as a heavy reminder of all the Native children taken from their families.
There was many of our children taken against our parents' will to these boarding schools, and many of them never saw home again. So these children are going to see home. Their spirits are going to rest at home.
Almeda Heavyhair was identified to be in relation to all descendants of Lame Bull and will be laid to rest, finally, at the Lame Bull Family Cemetery. The families of Bishop L. Shield and John Bull were not able to be identified, but the Fort Belknap community considers them all family. Their burial will be at the traditional burial grounds by Dry Lake.
It's at their home, and that's the most important thing. They rightfully belong here. I'm just real thankful to the Creator for blessing us with this day.
A fourth child belonging to the Fort Belknap community and a member of the Nakota tribe, Solomon Brown, was unfortunately left behind due to his resting place in the cemetery being unknown at this time.
It was very heartbreaking for them, to have to leave him behind. But I just want everyone to know right now we're working hard, and we're going to start working even harder to try to get him home sooner than later.
After a year-long process working with the Office of Army Cemeteries, a delegation from Fort Belknap went to retrieve the remains from Pennsylvania and drove them cross-country where they were welcomed home with open arms.
I pray for our future generations that they will always have a home.
I don't honestly think our repatriation work's going to be done in our lifetime anytime soon, just because of all our ancestors that are in these medical and educational institutions.
The remains of the 3 children will be brought to Hayes Lodgepole High School for a wake, followed by the reinterment ceremonies, and will be laid to finally rest at home forever. In Fort Belknap, I'm Anissa Coomer, MTN News.
Many people greeting the convoy in Fort Belknap today were dressed in orange t-shirts with the Fort Belknap logo. The orange color is part of the Every Child Matters movement that started more than a decade ago in an effort to raise awareness about the children taken away from their homelands to boarding schools and forced into assimilation. It recognizes the legacy of colonization across all of Turtle Island or the North and Central American continents. Boarding schools affected many tribal lands, including the Crow Reservation. Crow fashion designer Sweet Sage Woman, or Yolanda Old Dwarf, created an orange shirt in collaboration with Noel Two Leggins with deep cultural meaning, and many are expected to wear the shirts on September 30th, which has been designated Orange Shirt Day or the National Day of Remembrance for Indian boarding schools. Part of the proceeds are donated back to the cause.